What's up, everybody? What's up, MGTOW? So in this video, I'd like to briefly examine the commonly held, I guess you could call it a truism in MGTOW, that MGTOW is freedom. Now, this phrase was coined by Big John of MGTOW is freedom, and in general, it's very true that MGTOW does allow a degree of freedom to men in a gynocentric society. But if we look a little deeper at this statement, it does present kind of a duality, kind of double-edged sword to the phrase MGTOW is freedom. Because another way that you can look at it is that MGTOW is the result of freedom. Not so much that MGTOW itself is freedom, but MGTOW is the result of freedom. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm all in support of freedom, and I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a libertarian, but I definitely lean towards a more individualist type of free society rather than an absolutist or communist society. But like everything, it has its trade-offs, and one of the trade-offs of at least an economically free society is that MGTOW is going to be the result of that freedom. So for those that are libertarians, either minarchist or anarchist, libertarian, or any type of form of freedom-loving kind of individualist type person, then it kind of needs to be accepted that MGTOW is a part of freedom. Like, if you allow systems to run free, then the 80-20 rule is going to manifest itself most of the time. And you can see that the 80-20 rule is kind of a universal. I mean, to me personally, I would say that it's more like a 70-20-10 split. Because, I mean, if you look in general at most things, there's kind of that split. Like, the planet is 70% water, your body is 70% water. Like 70 or 80% of the universe is made up of dark matter. You know, there seems to be a kind of universality to the 80-20 rule when you let things go into their natural state. So therefore, it should be accepted that the 80-20 rule is a part of life, and therefore MGTOW will be a thing. And also that gynocentrism is part of humanity. Now, some people argue that gynocentrism is a byproduct of society and technology and all those other things. But for me, looking at it from an anthropological perspective, I would say that humans are a gynocentric species because of the physics of the reproductive process is centered around women, because women gestate the offspring for 9 months. So there's always going to be a female-centric, a gynocentric focus within the society. Now, the subheading of this video is that feminism is not a tablecloth. And you might be wondering what that means exactly. And I think that this kind of relates to the libertarian-esque aspect of MGTOW being the result of freedom. Because I think that some people in MGTOW and some people in the manosphere in general, or anybody that's anti-feminist, kind of thinks that feminism is a tablecloth, which it's not. Because I think that people think that, let's say, society is a perfectly set table, you know, a nice table, glasses and cups and trays and plates, and all the table is set with knives and forks in the proper place. And I think that some people within the manosphere, within MGTOW, think that they can be a magician and they can just kind of walk up to the table and slide feminism out from under the table setting, and everything's just going to be basically the same. The status quo is just going to remain the same, and we're just going to whip feminism right out from under the table settings, and then everything's going to be fine. But society doesn't really work that way, and everything is interdependent and interlocking in certain senses. So you can't just kind of whip feminism out from under society and have everything still sitting on the table in the way that you want it to be. Now, how this relates to libertarianism, or those that are libertarian within MGTOW who want to keep society as free as possible, but then somehow, yank feminism out from under society. I mean, we can look at some quick examples of how that isn't really possible in this day and age with the technology and people's social attitudes towards women. Now, for example, like in the 1950s or any time before that, what we would consider to be traditionally male jobs, long hours, difficult, physically demanding jobs, or highly intellectual jobs, are not really the center of the type of jobs that women have in society in the first place. So the argument that kind of pushing women out of traditionally male workspaces is going to reduce women's social influence is kind of a misnomer at this point. Because especially if you support free markets and free trade and basically having no caps or limits on any type of interaction or transaction between consenting adults, then what are you going to do about Twitch thoughts? What are you going to do about porn stars? What are you going to do about models? And these women make extreme amounts of money. Like, for example, I was watching It's a Gundam a few weeks ago, and he was featuring this one Twitch thought that decided that she wanted to buy a house. And so she put in her little goal thing, I need $250,000 to buy a house. And she got the $250,000 within 3 months. And then when she realized that she had to pay taxes on the house, she came back and asked for another $250,000 and got that $250,000 within another 3 months. So even the above average, even the top 20% man can't compete with that. Because if you think about it, if she can make $250,000 in 3 months, you'd have to be a millionaire or making $1 million a year to compete with that, to be able to purchase a house within 3 months of working. And that would mean that you'd have no other expenses, like you aren't already renting a house or renting an apartment, you don't have car payments, you don't have insurance, you don't have anything to save up $250,000. That means you'd have to make $1 million a year. But this woman can just go on Twitch, and the ridiculous part was that she didn't even have a Nintendo. She just downloaded the video of Dance Dance Revolution from YouTube. So she didn't even have to invest in a PlayStation or Nintendo or whatever to play Dance Dance Revolution to earn the $250,000 that she needs for a house. And if we're looking at it from a evolutionary perspective, then one of the main reasons why women would be attracted to a man is because he can provide a house and security and those type of things. And if the woman can get that easily on the free market just by playing a bootleg version of Dance Dance Revolution, and a man that's making $1 million a year can hardly afford to spend the same amount of money, then the competition is over. And the free market's not going to stop that. Kicking women out of, CEO positions and HR positions at corporations isn't going to stop Twitch thoughts. It isn't going to stop porn stars. It's not going to stop, the car industry, the beer industry, the lingerie industry from hiring high-paid models. And if women can still have access to these type of jobs, and in a free market, they should be able to have access to those type of jobs, then there's still going to be this divide between, men and women, and hypergamy is still going to be at an all-time high. And in fact, if anything, it might force more women into those type of industries. And we can see it already that, there's so many women going into, becoming booth girls and Twitch thoughts and porn stars. It seems like it's just a trending upward, that more and more what you would call ordinary, everyday kind of chicks are going into that. Then you've got things like sugar babies, where, these girls are paying for college by dating men for money. That's free market. That kicking women out of CEO positions is not going to stop sugar babies. It's not going to stop femdoms. It's not going to stop any of this stuff. And just my theory is that if you force more and more women out of like corporate jobs and things like that, then more and more women are just going to go into those type of fields. And the free market can't stop that. So it's not really going to help the 80-20 rule any or that much by kicking women out of corporate jobs and those type of traditionally male workspaces. Then on top of that, you just have your base natural gynocentrism, to where, most men in this modern society feel that women need support. It's not even a logical thing. It's just a base instinct due to the fact that we are a gynocentric species. And I know some people want to argue against that and say that gynocentrism is a social construct rather than a biological construct. But to me personally, it seems as if gynocentrism is a biological construct based on human reproduction. So women are always going to be upheld in a certain sense. And we see from Coltane's video that, more women survive the Titanic than children, and more women survive through wars than children or men. So trying to adjust society in that way, trying to, pull the tablecloth out from underneath, is not really feasible in a free market society. So you can see that how it kind of needs to be kind of accepted, maybe meditated on, and then realized that we are a gynocentric species, and also that MGTOW is freedom. MGTOW is the result of freedom, and that you can't just pull the tablecloth of feminism out from under society and have everything maintained in the same way that it's been going. Because feminism is part of human psychology, human biology, and gynocentrism, to me personally, is a biological reality just as much as it is a social reality. So I guess basically, in short, really, it seems almost impossible to maintain a patriarchy in an entirely 100% free libertarian society where there's no coercion and there's no type of limitations on transactions that people can make in between one another for money. So it's just something to think about. No definitive answers here, but that's just my take on it. So other than that, have a good day and go MGTOW.